appreciate you guys.
All right, we're gonna start the program. All right, here we go.
Good evening, everyone. I really like Mike. He started out much like me in humble beginnings, never considering life could be more than just that, until circumstances and people along the way showed us we could do more. After much hard work, Mike graduated cum laude from Marquette Law School and went on to become a partner in his law firm. On top of that, Mike is husband and father to a beautiful young family and plays an active role in the community, sitting on the boards of Habitat for Humanity and the Veterans Community Foundation. It's my honor to introduce Mike Van Someren.
Woo! All right.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you all very much for being here. Honestly, I planned longer remarks, but since we've asked the audience to only be here virtually for COVID safety, I'm going to tighten it up. We're here today because our democracy is broken. It's not just breaking or in crisis or at risk, but it's actually broken. But broken things can be fixed, so I don't want to suggest I'm not hopeful. I am hopeful. I believe America is resilient. I believe our people are strong. But to me, this is a little like a car. We haven't been doing the work to maintain our democracy. We haven't been doing the oil changes, checking the fluids, or rotating the tires. We've just been rolling along, and we've been hearing noises, something rattling around. And now the car has stopped. It's on the side of the road, and it's not moving. Our democracy is broken down. But let me say one important thing. Neighbors have a hard time talking to one another. Different groups of Americans only trust news sources that tell them what they want to hear. 1 year ago, we faced one of the darkest days of our democracy. An armed horde intent on thwarting the results of a presidential election occupied our U.S. Capitol building, forcing legislators to flee. Donald Trump and his allies like Scott Fitzgerald, then a brand new congressman, empowered and encouraged a group to storm the United States Capitol in an attempted coup. That day demonstrated to all of us just how far our fragile democracy has been eroded and how critical it is that we protect it. That's why I released my comprehensive plan to restore our democracy before it's too late. But let me say one important thing about January 6th. My view of it, and frankly most Democrats' view of it, is that it was a horrific, scary day for our democracy. But according to various polls, that's not what many Republicans think. Polling shows that January 6th was not a big deal to them. Their leaders, including Senator Johnson, laughed the day off. They claimed things like it was just tourists. They say the crowd wasn't armed, although it was. Not only with sticks and stones, but with guns and thousands of rounds of ammo. They say the only person killed was a protester shot by a Capitol police officer, although the truth is 5 people died that day and more police officers in the day following. It's gotten so bad that even the Republican Party, which claims to back the blue and support police, ignores entirely the testimony of the Capitol and DC police, who tried to hold the line against a mob intent on overturning the results of a presidential election. Now there's one bright light. Democracy that day did hold. The results of the presidential election were upheld, barely. But I don't have faith that this crisis won't happen again. We have to take action now. Not just to protect presidential elections, but to protect our democracy. So today, I'm releasing my common sense plan to restore America's democracy. Participation in voting in free and fair elections and peaceful transitions of power have been the cornerstones of our country since its founding. We cannot ever again abide those cornerstones being attacked by people who tried to substitute their will for that of a majority of the people. I'm a student of history, I'm a lawyer, and I'm a passionate believer in American democracy. I'm also gravely concerned. Our most fundamental right as Americans is the right to vote for our leaders and make our voices heard through that vote. And as we as Americans should demand that this fundamental right to be a government of the people be protected above all others. To do this, we need federal legislation that creates a clear baseline of voting protections for citizens of every state of the union. To be clear, states that wish to provide more protections and take additional steps to increase the integrity and ease of voting should be free to do so, as long as they meet these basic standards. This baseline needs to consist of the following. First, we must start with banning voter suppression laws. We need to make sure that everybody that wants to vote is able to do so, and further ensure that laws passed in the name of election integrity don't have the effect of preventing people from voting. We need to restore federal pre-clearance. We need to make sure it's easy to vote, and we need to stop trying to criminalize the act of helping other people to vote. The idea isn't to make it harder to vote. It should be, let's help people participate. That leads to my second plank, promoting voting. We need to encourage participation in our democracy by ensuring there is plenty of time and a variety of methods for voters to securely participate in the electoral process and vote. We need a longer timeline for early voting, and we need to stop trying to restrict absentee and early voting. I think we should make Election Day a federal holiday. I also believe every voter should be automatically registered. Let's stop making it harder, let's make it easier. Third, we must end gerrymandering. Gerrymandering is an underhanded way to usurp the will of the people and is wrong no matter which party is doing it. Constituents need to select their elected officials, not the other way around. We need to take map drawing out of the hands of politicians and instead have independent commissions draw district maps. We must also provide courts with a standard in law by which to evaluate whether an apportionment plan is gerrymandered for political or partisan purposes, thus giving the courts a clear path to ensure every vote counts. My fourth plank is reducing big money influence. The Citizens United case opened the floodgates to corporations and other big money donors to secretly influence campaigns. We need to ensure that anyone who seeks to influence elections is forced to disclose the names of their donors and the amounts given by those donors. Finally, we need to protect elections. I'm a Democrat, but I think we need to embrace voter ID as a method of providing faith in our election system while still ensuring full access to the polls for every voter. We can do this by ensuring that more forms of ID are acceptable for voting, by making it easy and free to obtain IDs for voting purposes. We also need to ensure we have a paper record of votes in case there are recounts, and that we have strong cybersecurity to prevent hacking of our election machinery. And look, we have to address the Electoral College. What happened on January 6, 2021 happened because there are gaps in our system. We need to reform the Electoral Count Act and make reforms to the Electoral College. This 5-point plan is a living, breathing plan. As the campaign continues, we may make additions and adjustments to it. The truth is, our democracy needs constant maintenance, like a car, a furnace, or a human relationship. It's not set it and forget it. We must take care to ensure it survives the long term. But if we work together, if we agree on the basics, that our nation relies on the consent of the governed, we will be in much, much better shape. Now, I'm pleased to be joined by Carl Locke and Emma Hanschke. They are going to make some comments about how important citizen engagement in our system is to our democracy.
Sorry. Hi everyone. Hi everyone, I'm Emma Hanschke. Thanks Mike for the very compelling and very substantive speech. It gives me a lot of hope in the future of not only Waukesha, but Wisconsin as well. I'm the president of Carroll Leftists at Carroll University, and it's been an interesting challenge trying to organize youth, Democratic youth and leftist youth on campus in such a red district. I think that the animosity between the left and the right in this country has become extremely palpable. In these last 4 years, it has torn relationships with my family. It has caused conflict on my campus, and conspiracy theories and misinformation are so rampant that now the truth is seen as subjective, and it's very easy to lose hope in our democracy. But Mike's plan to rebuild our democracy genuinely makes me very hopeful for the future. Discussions of doing away with corporate influence on campaign, ending gerrymandering, and making voting easier for all have been constants in leftist circles, but I've yet to experience a politician who runs with them at the forefront of their campaign and with such passion and such logical policy put forward. And I believe that these policies are not only the baselines of democracy, like Mike says, but they should be relatively bipartisan and agreeable. I think the additions in his plan of ensuring election integrity via voter ID laws, paper records, and secure machinery solidifies his plan in this district that he's running in particular. And I think that the plan is a very clear one that people can get behind regardless of their party, which is so important in these times. Scott Fitzgerald, on the other hand, seems to show little regard for the democratic process, as he is known to refusing to debate political opponents in this county. He depends on his status as an incumbent for re-election, but we need someone who is passionate about today's issues. In order for us to make a real change and elect someone who truly cares about democracy, we need to show up. And by show up, I mean the youth and the leftists in this district. We need to remember that local elections matter just as much as national elections, and we need to get passionate about real people like Mike Van Someren, who are providing an actual avenue for change.
Thank you, Emma. It's really great to see the young people getting involved in politics. So, us older people are trying to keep things going, but it's really rewarding to see that happen. As we just heard Mike say, democracy is broken down, and what most people want doesn't seem to matter anymore. Change is possible, but what needs to be done is we need to reach out beyond our circle of Democratic friends. Many people are misinformed. Others may share our values, but don't see the importance of voting or paying attention. These people can be reached by canvassing and phone banking. For some of us, that'll mean getting out of our comfort zones, but with a little training, canvassing can be interesting and a rewarding experience. Democracy is not a birthright. Do not take it for granted. Help build the kind of world you want yourself and your children to live in. Sign up to volunteer this campaign cycle. Thank you.
Any questions for Mike?
Oh, I got nothing. I'm just a photographer. Thank you, though.
Any questions? All right.
Thank you all for coming.